Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Australasian Supercar eSeries here on Performance eStreaming. We are live tonight here at Sparta, Kentucky itself, for round number 3 of the My Private Sellers Australasian Supercar eSeries. Even there we go. Joining me up here in the booth tonight, I have Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Glad to be here. I missed the first 2 rounds. I was sunning myself on a beach, but it's good to be back here and starting the season with the V8 supercars on the ovals.
Absolutely, it is great stuff indeed. And doing his magic on the cameras is Mr. Matty Hunter. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Just sorry if I'm a bit distracted at the moment. Just trying to get everything back up. Just had a little bit of sound issues that we're just trying to fix. So yeah, just working on that, getting that all back up.
Absolutely. Getting everything fixed and ready to run. We are currently in qualifying for the race itself, but before we head there, we'll run through the championship standings. It's Gary Wellman in the lead at the moment, 13 points ahead of Raymond Yeager. Third place is Noddy Tompkins, 19 points off the lead, 24 points down. In fourth is Nicholas Walsh. Dwayne Priest sits in the fifth spot, 25 off the lead. Sixth is Troy Davidson, 30 points down. Seventh, we have Craig Roffey, 33 off the lead. 34 points down is Matt Patton in eighth. Ninth place is Greg Spencer, 34 off the lead. And finally, it is Adam Malone in joint 10th place with Justin Witcher, both 39 points down. The team championship looks like this for the top 3. It is Everything Simulated Racing at the top of the scoreboard with 73 points. Second place is the Sim Boys, 72 points down. 72 points, I should say, not 72 points down. They're on 72 points. And then it's Pinnacle Esports, 68 points for themselves. So very close in the team championship. And they're going to want to try and have a good run here tonight and get those scores carrying on, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, everything's simulated, mate. I know the boys there fairly well, Jamie, Ruben, and I know Ruben would want to be putting last night's technical issues behind him. So let's hope he has a good run tonight and doesn't have any computer issues.
No, absolutely. Fingers crossed it goes much better for him tonight than it did last night in the trucks. Currently, air temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, with the track temperature is 26 degrees. Nice, cool track out there tonight, and I'm sure the drivers will be happy about that because Kentucky can be a bit of a tyre killer for sure. It can make things a little bit tricky. Currently on pole position is Richard Tamko, with the pole sitting time with Cade Donnelly, Troy Davidson, Ruben Phelps, and Greg Spencer, the top 5 at the moment. Still a few people to go out, and Barry Neal smashes that time, gets the pole position. Once again, we know Barry Neal is very quick in this car, and he again proves it by snagging that pole position.
Yeah, definitely. Barry's always been quick on ovals, so it'd be interesting to see how he goes tonight. From what I believe, he can really pedal these things around the oval.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Barry. He's one of those drivers that's an absolute force on these tracks. And, well, he's going to be hoping he can get another good run tonight. On board at the moment, one of the Pinnacle cars out there at the moment. And
Is that Justin? Yes.
yeah, it's better eyes than me, Mark.
Only because I've got my glasses on tonight, mate. Just on the tyre life, Carl. The issue here, I've been down snooping in the garages, and I've got it from a fairly reliable source. That right front is only good for about 15 laps, and then the guys need to nurse it.
Oh, that's going to make it interesting, seeing we have 134 laps here and they've only got one set of tyres to play with. They are going to have to be super careful out there on those tyres. They get one set to start on and then one set to change to throughout the race. So it's going to be tyre saving. It's going to be key here tonight. Who's going to be soft on their tyres? We know a few drivers are quite good at that. Well, we'll see who's the master of it tonight for sure. As qualifying ticks over, we've got a couple of seconds left of it before we head to the race. Well, the gridding up process, of course. What are we looking at fuel-wise tonight, Mark? Do we have any ideas?
Well, I've kind of sort of got cross messages. Both fairly reliable sources, so someone's lying to me. Around 44 to 47 laps, I've been told, from one team. But from another team, they're telling me they can get 51 laps out of a tank. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, or if someone's running a bigger fuel line.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds like somebody's got some extra fuel in their boots tonight, so that's always a helping hand. But with that tyre wear as it is, I think people are just going to be, just keeping an eye on that. It's whether you want to go a bit faster at the start of the race, it will change things up. But let's run through the starting grid. On the front row, it's Barry Neal with Richie Tamko taking out first and second spot. Row number 2, we have Kay Donnelly and Justin Witcher. Row 3 is Troy Davidson with Jai Schultz. Row 4, Ruben Phelps and Greg Spencer. On the 5th row, it's Todd Maxfield with Dwayne Preece. Row 6, we got Craig Roffey and Andy Barber. On the 7th row is Adam Lyon and Troy Turner. 8th row, Nicholas Walsh and Gary Wellman. 9th row, we have Raymond Yeager with Warwick Sharp. Row 10 is Chris Finlay with Stevie Williams. Row 11 is Jared Daly and Peter Matson. Row 12, Tony Roffey and Peter Gretton. Row 13 is Michael Latter and John Quass. Row 14, we have Kim Roffey and Jamie Nankervis. 15th row, we've got Tristan Koch with Christopher Tomlin. 16th row is Noddy Tompkins and Kobe Jordan. And then we've got a couple of non-qualifiers. That's Evan Horschel and Ross Chatham. They'll be starting towards the back of the pack tonight. 33 cars out there tonight, going to be rumbling around this track, giving us some great action. If this is your first time watching the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Sellers, you're in for an absolute treat. We get some fantastic racing, and well, I think tonight is going to be a treat for sure, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I know there's some good names, good drivers in here. Gary Wellman, Barry Neal off the front of pole. He's going to be the one to watch, I think, tonight from pole. But saying that to the boys from Pinnacle, they're all good peddlers. So I think we're going to be, especially here, in for an action-packed night.
100%, we are in for a treat for sure, and look, it is some fantastic stuff. And look, if you're wanting to treat yourself in the Tasmanian area, Hot Toddy's heating installations can whip you up a nice treat of a nice wood fire heaters and other heating solutions. Some fantastic stuff from Hot Toddy's heating installations. But we are in for an absolute great one here tonight. I love Kentucky. It's one of those tracks that does throw up a little bit of a curveball. It can throw a little bit of a curveball sometimes, and we've actually got that now because of everybody getting out of pit lane. A few people just getting caught up there, so the pace car has been extended a lap or two just to get everybody in the right position. So we'll get an extra lap or two under pace car for people to form up here tonight.
Yeah, it's a very, very long pit lane, and if someone just misses the cue to leave, it throws the rest of the field behind them out of whack, and it takes a bit of time to catch up.
Absolutely, I think a couple of the experts on the old circuits just getting used to the oval rules there. Get exiting pit lane is you don't have to pop the limiter on. It's the only time in pit lane you don't have to worry about a limiter.
I'll tell you what, mate. I'm very keen to see how these things really go. I will be honest. I've not taken much notice because the steering wheel's on the wrong side for me. As you know, I'm the American NASCAR man, but I am very keen and very excited to be calling this tonight and seeing this for the really paying attention for the first time.
Yeah, it's great action, and it's a very different style of racing because, of course, you have that huge, well, it's not even a spoiler, is it? It's a wing on the back that makes a big hole in the air. It changes up the aero quite a bit. You get a lot of aero wash as well off the corners. The car can get very light and skittish as it goes through the dirty air, and you'll see a lot of different styles from the old NASCARs. These things handle differently, but they are very, very quick indeed. Of course, that little bit more aero means there's a little bit more drag, so the draft effect comes in really, really strong on these things. Pace car will be pulling in very shortly, and we'll go green here for Kentucky. And when that happens, we're going to shut up and let you listen to all of these fantastic 5-litre V8s roar away. And a great start for Barry Neal up the front. He's pulling off a nice little bit of a leading charge at the moment, but he's got Cade Donnelly and Troy Davidson now coming up quickly for the Sim Boys. A little bit further back, it is a lot of action going on in the mid-pack. We've got 3 wide, we've got 4 wide at some places. Everybody's jostling for position from about 8 down. It is absolute insanity.
Yeah, it definitely is, and there's you're right, Carl. I was just really concentrating on that first lap, and there are so many different lines with these things. Some guys are right up against the wall, and it's just unbelievable that the cars can stick like they have so close to that wall.
Absolutely, and that extra bit of aero makes a huge difference on those corners. Of course, you get that beautiful centrifugal force happening on the corners. The reason why you have banked corners on ovals to begin with, to squash the car down and give it as much grip as possible, of course, in those corners. With that extra bit of downforce, making the cars even heavier, it gives them that little bit extra grip. Of course, that can have a detrimental effect because that can help sort of scrub the tyre a little bit quicker, and well, it slows you down a little bit more as well.
Just watching back in the pack there, Carl, with Raymond Jagger and co. And I'll tell you what, they're not mucking around. At one point there, they were two rows of 4 wide.
Now, this is the insanity that you get when you chuck one of the great V8s from Ford or Holden onto a oval track. You just get this insane racing, and 4 wide in Kentucky is no mean feat. It's a fairly wide-looking track, but when you've got 4 cars sitting next to each other, especially 4 fairly chunky sedans, it can be a little bit sketchy.
I'll tell you what, mate, I would not want to be the car on the outside.
No, it's you and me both, Mark. You and me both. Up the front, Troy Davidson has got the lead. He's pulling away with Barry Neal at the moment. Those two are running away at the moment from Jai Schultz and Cade Donnelly in 3rd and 4th.
Just going to say, Carl, I'm happy to be on that bottom, on that inside line, on that pole line, being 4 wide, but I don't think I'd like to be anywhere else.
No, that is fair enough. At least if you're on the bottom, you've got a little bit of wiggle room to escape.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right, Carl. The guys, 1st and 2nd, have opened up a nice little gap now. So it's going to be a bit of a quiet race, and the advantage of these guys being out front is that they can just ease up that little bit to try and save that right front.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not having to race as hard. They're able to take the lines that they want to take as well, whereas some of the drivers a little bit further back, I'm looking at Ruben Phelps at the moment. He is side by side with Todd Maxfield and just behind Justin Witcher, but he's having to choose lines where he's having to be beside another car. He's having to dart between cars. He's not able to run the line that he wants to every lap. He's having to choose lines where there isn't a car involved, and that will hurt the tyre life a bit, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. The tyres do scrub. Like in real life, they get to a point where they lose that racy edge and they stabilise, and we can just see here 3 wide again. there's no mucking around from these boys. They're here for business. As I say, it stabilises. So, and then it gets to a point where it just falls off the edge, and the tyre's useless to you.
Absolutely, and it's just keeping that balance on the tyre. And one man that tends to be quite good at that is Raymond Yeager, and he's just charging his way through the pack. The RKJ Web Services sponsored car, of course, one of our sponsors for the series, charging his way through that group. He went from probably about 14th up into 7th in the matter of a couple of seconds there.
Just looking at the fast time, it looks like it's Troy Davison who's now out well in front. He's done the last lap with a 31.3, and it's only the top three that are in that 31 bracket. Everyone else is now in the 32s.
You can see what a drop off it is as well. The fastest lap of the race so far is a 30.6. They've already dropped a good second and a bit since the start of the race. Those tyres starting to get a little bit worn and a little bit worse for wear just after 12 laps now.
The other issue here, Carl, is like as I said, I'm a NASCAR driver, and I don't know how I'd go with those headlights shining in my mirror.
It's another little thing that is an oddity to the series, of course. And you'll wait for pit lane, Mark. Wait, if we have a caution when all the cars come down pit lane, because remember, when you put the limiter on one of these things, it flashes the headlights. It looks like a rave party going on in the pit lane, and it can be a little bit distracting for sure.
As long as the brake lights don't flash, that'll be fine.
Good point there, Mark. Though, is brake lights. It's another thing that you're not so used to having on an oval.
No, I wouldn't know what those things were.
But no, over the radio, somebody's got a problem. It looks like the car's on fire. It's flashing red at the back.
Yeah. No, look, it's great to see Raymond and the boys put this on. It's great to see the V8s on the oval. And again, I must admit, I've not driven the V8s around the oval, not even in the test session. So I really can't say how these will handle. I think this week I may dig the V8 out and go have a couple of laps myself.
It is a very tempting series when you watch it because it is such close racing. Although not at the front at the moment. You could say it's a little bit closer at the front now between Troy Davison and Barry Neal. Those three drivers, Davison, Neal and Donnelly, have pulled out a huge gap. They've got a 11-second gap over the rest of the pack, and they are coming up on a little bit of traffic, I believe. So just looking a little bit ahead, I think they're coming up to no. Yeah, they might be coming up to Adam Malone and Peter Gretton very shortly. So this is going to be another factor of this race, of course, is when you start getting traffic. And with the current pace they've got, well, they're almost 11 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. In a few more laps, they could be looking at getting to a lot more traffic. As we see Barry Neal lunges down the inside of the reigning champion Troy Davison there, gets the move done and is going to get back into the lead. And I'm sure Troy will just happily sit behind Barry now, use that bit of draft to keep him going along and help his fuel mileage.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess the other different thing between these and us, our racing, is that they wouldn't have a real accurate spotter talking to you all the time.
Crew chief would still work the same, wouldn't it?
I really don't know, mate.
I would think so. I think crew chief works with pretty much any car in that respect. And what we say by crew chief, it's a third party.
Someone that's just in front there hit the wall fairly heavily. I just missed it. It's one of the two cars that are in front of Barry and Troy. just go back. I think it may have been Adam Malone because it looks like he's blinking. So, yeah.
Adam Malone's got quite a bit of connectivity issue, unfortunately. And there's Peter Grattan as well there. He is currently sitting there, and the leaders are coming up quick on these two. And it won't be long until they sail past. And when there's a car with connectivity issues in the front, it can be a bit off-putting.
Yeah, it's definitely Adam that's blinking very bad.
And just hear the drivers there just asking Adam to stay high, just because he was having a bit of connectivity issue. And that is a tricky thing on an oval, as we've talked about a couple of times. But when you're following a car with connectivity issue, of course, it changes how you use the draft. It changes everything. So it can be a little bit off-putting, but Malone doing a good job there, just sticking it up in the high line, keeping well out the way of the leaders as they come past on lap 21 here of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Sellers. And as we jump back a little further, we've got Kay Donnelly sitting in a lonely third place at the moment. He's sort of in no man's land, just chugging along at the moment in the United Electric Solutions sponsored Simboys entry. And he's sort of about 3 seconds off the leaders, but about 10 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. That secondary pack at the moment being led by Steve Williams in the 98 Simrig sponsored DPR entry. He is currently in the lead of that pack, and he looks to be getting a little bit of a wriggle on as well. He's pulling out a little bit of a gap from Raymond Yeager now.
Yeah, well, that simrigs.com car really looks good.
Yeah, they always get a nice paint job on there, but there's some really nice paint jobs out there tonight. It's always one of my favourite things, just clicking along and having a look at some of the different paint jobs on offer, and the amount of effort that people go through to get these cars looking as good as they do is fantastic stuff. It's a lot of work to make a car look this good, and they put the extra effort in for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at Peter Madison, the 173 car. I really like that paint scheme with the Cobra down the side of it.
As you speak, it does appear.
That's our friendly button pusher behind the scenes, Matt.
I tell you, one that caught my eye was Kobe's one.
Kobe's one. Yes.
I've got it up there now.
Yep.
Can't really see it, but it had a bit of chrome on it before, and it was in the light. It was shining pretty nice.
Yeah, that's the only issue with chrome. Like the daylight, it looks really good, but nighttime you've just got to get the lights hit it in the right angle. And he's getting the flash from the car behind him to hurry up.
Well, that's another good thing. You've got those little flashes there available to you, just to let somebody know you're coming up to them. Another little tool in the box that you don't get in other oval racing, in NASCARs and trucks, the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. Of course, you try and flash the headlights in. No, it doesn't do much good. The stickers don't really light up that much.
No.
Got some good racing down the pack as well. Currently in 10th place, Troy Turner has got Justin Witcher just behind him with Jared Daly. They're moving along nicely in that group, and everybody's sort of falling in to single file at the moment. Just a couple of people now and again jump in a couple of positions, but everybody's sort of settled in for a bit of a long stint now. And well, speaking of, we're 27 laps in. We've still got probably I'd say about 20 more laps until pit stops will really start happening. So people are just going to have to start working out what they're going to do in those green flag stops, of course, because you need to make at least 2 more of them in this race.
Yeah, definitely. I just watching further back in the pack. Tim Ruffy down in 29th position. He hit the wall coming out of 4 really hard a lap ago. And the right side of that car, he's got some nice wall wounds down the full length of the car. So I hope that hasn't done any damage to the right side tyres there.
It's always a worry when you get damage on the side of the car. You can see that big scrape going down the side of the paintwork at the Rogue Sim Sports entry. And well, the other thing it can do is if it damages some of the aero, of course, it can slow you down a little bit. If there's any wrinkles or crinkles on the car, it sort of acts like a parachute and slows you down a couple of miles per hour.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, going back to some of the paints, Carl, some of these guys have really put in some real hard hours into these paints, because I know what goes into painting cars, and some of them look fantastic. So it's well done to all the drivers out here and the team owners to get the cars looking fantastic.
Absolutely. It's appreciated on the streaming side of things when we're doing the broadcast to have nice looking cars to talk about, because it always makes the broadcast look a much nicer thing when there's lots of pretty cars on track, and luckily we have 34 pretty cars out there, so that always makes a nice difference.
Yeah, I'm just watching. It seems like these guys have really started to settle down and looking for that tyre, maybe that first tyre change, or then with the one set, it's a long way to go on that one set.
Yeah, very much so. Of course, if you are new to the series, we had a little bit of chat about it before, but you only get one set of tyres to swap during the race. So it's when you do that, when you pull the trigger is a crucial part. And of course, in green flag stops, it takes a long time to get fuel into these cars as well. They take a bit longer to fuel up, of course. So there's the decisions: do you change the tyres in the first stop? Do you change them in the second stop? Do you try and wait for a caution to do it? Do you try and do it under green flag stop? There's a lot of strategy involved in that one. And of course, when you do change to those fresh tyres, you can have a lot more speed for a few laps, but then it's going to get trickier. And if you do that too early, you've got to go for a long distance on those old tyres. If you do it too late, well, you might have missed your chance.
Yeah, it's a very hard one to choose. Like, you really need that two tanks of fuel before you change with these long races. But yeah, with that tyre wear that we've been told about in that right front here, it's I wonder if we're going to see any tyres let go.
Always a worry, isn't it? It's one of those things that you have to keep an eye on, and if you put too much pressure on that tyre, it can go pop on you.
Well, just looking at the times, that there's been a big drop off now. So maybe these guys, well, obviously they know that there's tyre wear on that right front, and they're really starting to conserve that tyre wear.
I think a few people are going into a little bit of conservation mode, because the gap up the front is not really growing. It's stagnated about 12 seconds now from Barry Neal to Stevie Dub in 4th position. Kay Donnelly, he's managed to catch up to the front runners, so we've now got a group of 3 for the front runners, and that will be useful for fuel conservation, of course, as you can use a little bit of that draft to work in the trio there. But they haven't really been pulling out the times, and well, they've sort of stagnated with their times a little bit now, so that will change things up. But they have caught a lot of they will be catching some traffic soon as well, I imagine. Still a few laps to go, but they are starting to catch a big train of cars, and that could be a changer as well in just how quick they can run through it. So all of these things to come. So this race is going to start heating up in a couple of laps for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it'd be the same with the NASCAR. The guys would be on the radio talking to the other drivers to letting them know they're coming. But as you said, Carl, they've got that little flashy thing that they can let them know they're coming up to them by flashing their lights.
Absolutely, that's the brute force method of let me through. If you've ever driven in sports cars, you know that button is pressed whenever a driver is getting frustrated sitting behind you.
You don't do the old tap tap on the rear.
Not so much, no. It's a little bit. It's the slightly more civilized version of the tap tap.
Gentleman's agreement. Move out of my road now, please.
Move out of the way, or I'm going to move you out of the way.
And I guess like if there's any NASCAR guys tuning in for the first time, the big difference here too, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't completely read their rule book yet, but do they use their B pillar as the having the turn, or is it similar to us NASCAR guys? If you've got an overlap, that's
Overlap.
it.
Yeah, it's all to do with the overlap. So it's very much the NASCAR rule set with the V8 supercar car on the track, which changes things up a little bit.
Well, they've got a lot bigger spoiler at the front, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see if any time that anything like that happens tonight.
Very much so. We just went back and saw Richie Tramco starting on the front row. He's down in 19th position. He's fallen back a little bit in this race, just deciding to ease off and go a little bit easier in this run. But that could come back to pay dividends later in this stint. Of course, he could be saving a little bit of fuel in this run, keeping those tyres a little bit more safe, and he could come back. We've got a car in pit lane, though. We've got Stevie Dub going down pit lane. First car down pit lane tonight, Steve Williams in the 98. He's decided to come in a little bit early, get some fuel in the tank maybe, and get back out there. So a slightly different strategy here for him. But of course, a little bit less stationary time in pit lane with this option. So obviously filling up the tank to the brim when it's fully empty takes you a bit longer. So this could save him a little bit of time overall. He's coming on lap 41. So he's sort of splitting the race a little bit more evenly than some. So we'll have to see how Stevie Dub does on the way out, and what sort of times he sets afterwards as well, because we'll get a bit of an idea if he's changed some boots.
That's what I was just going to ask. I've just seen that car come down off the jacks. I'm not 100% sure, but do they automatically go up on the jacks even for just for fuel, or?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, okay. So he may not have taken tyres there, which, as I said earlier, mate, on that 42, that's a long way to go just on that one set of tyres.
Yeah, that's it. It will be interesting to see what sort of times he sets, because that will be the determining factor, I think. So we'll keep a little bit of an eye on Stevie Dub there. But of course, he's decided to come in a little bit early, so he's off sequence with everybody else as well. And if this remains green, it could come back to, could help him out in the long run, but we'll have to see how that one pans out. Crazy pack we've got here, and this is 5th position down. This is really tight stuff, and this long into the stint as well on these old tyres, this is where it can get a bit dicey.
Some heavy hitters in there too.
Yeah, we've got Gary Wellman and Justin Witcher at the front of this pack with Chris Finley as well, and they're moving along nicely. Chris Finley's actually broken loose of the main group, and it looks like Justin Witcher's trying to get there. Noddy Tompkins as well, getting a good run. We've seen Noddy have some good runs recently as well in the series, and he's hoping to continue that form tonight, and he's just worked his way right up there as well, so he's looking to make a bit of a move now. So people are getting the go on as we are on lap 45, so it is getting to that point where people will start to need to make those green flag stops in the very near future.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not going to say a word about Noddy, because last time I did, I jinxed him. I gave him the commentator's curse, so I'm just going to leave him go and not say a word about him.
Gonna go easy on him tonight. Just looking at the lap times, Stevie Dub fastest car out there with a 31.4, so that tells me that he hasn't changed those tyres, because it's a bit slow for the fastest laps of the night, I think. But he's definitely getting some good pace at the moment, and he's not worrying about the fuel saving. He is going up fully for it, and he's got some clean air as well, so he's not having to worry about other people on the track, and he's able to go fully for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, everyone's 31.7, 31.6, so, and 31.6 for Kay Donnelly. So they're definitely, but they've dropped off a lot. Like nearly a second and a half they've dropped off some of these guys. So they definitely are looking at saving that tyre.
Yeah, that's it. It's getting to that stage of the race where tensions will be high. Getting into pit lane, it's going to be tricky to do, of course. It's never easy getting in pit lane, but you're getting in there on cold brakes, and got to get that car stopped in time, get it down to the right speed, and get the limiter put on correctly. Get down pit lane, hit your markers correct as well, especially in a green flag stop. It is so crucial to get everything right, because you can gain upwards of 2 to 3 seconds if you get it absolutely perfect.
And like last night, mate, we seen a few guys come into pit lane and make a real botch of it too. So that can really cost you time if you don't get on the pit lane cleanly.
Very much so, and of course, if you really make a mess of it, you can end up getting a drive-through penalty too. If you go a bit too fast and ping the speed limiter, you can end up with a drive-through, and that will be devastating in a race where it has gone green for 49 laps here. The Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Seller. So that lap traffic is starting to come into play now. Barry Neal on the tail of Kim Rothie now, and this is where you really miss those blue flags. Of course, no blue flags in oval racing. That's one difference for these cars. Of course, you don't get any blue flag help at all, and that can really put you off your game sometimes. I wonder if you'll see the leaders coming in very shortly, just so they can dart out of this lap traffic. We are on lap 51 now, so it looks like that second estimate you got was more correct, Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to say 51 laps, so we should see a big dive in the pit lane in the next, and Barry's in as we're talking. So Barry Neal has pulled the pin first and come in to get fuel.
He's decided it's time. He's going to get out of that traffic, get down pit lane, get this done, and he's probably done it at a good time. There's not a lot of other cars in the pit lane at the moment. We've got John Quass in there as well, but it's a free lane for him, really, so he doesn't have to worry about other cars. He can just cruise down to the final pit bay, get in there nicely, get the stop done as we watch from the Witcher Electrics pit cam entry. Of course, big thank you to Witcher Electrics, one of our title sponsors for the season. If you're in the Ballarat region and need some electrical needs, head over to Witcher Electrics.
The interesting thing here, Carl, is to see where Barry comes out, whether he comes out in relativity to Stevie Dubb.
Yeah, it will be interesting to know where it happens, because as we've got Troy Davis and Coward Donnelly coming in pit lane as well, so looks like fuel stops are needing to be happened, and I think we're going to see a whole glut of cars coming down the road now. So,
we've got one around in pit lane. It's a grey car. I just missed the Peter Gretton. I didn't actually see it. I just switched over the camera view to see him loop it in pit lane.
Yeah, easy to do, of course, and look, it's so easy to lose the car as you're braking down to the limiter, as Matt's grabbing up the replay now.
He's I don't know what he's done there. Looks like he's on the brakes too hard, and it's just stepped out on him.
Yeah, around he goes.
Oh no!
That's a nightmare to have happen, and he's had to do the old flick spin, and
he's touched the wall.
Yeah.
Oh no, his night's gone from bad to worse.
And even worse, there's a lot of cars coming in pit lane as well now. That's everybody's coming down pit road, so he's had to chuck it in reverse to try and get down to his box and get into a safe spot, which he does there. So lots more cars coming down pit lane. Justin Witcher now heading in from the lead. Huge glut of cars as we see on the screen now. The rave party is happening. We get the sandstorm playing. It is all going pit lane. A huge amount of cars coming in here, and everybody's going to want to get in their pit box in the right spot now. And this is where it can get very tight, very tricky. Craig
Oh,
Roffey
no.
jumps into the lead now, and that's going to give him a bonus point as well. So he's going to come down pit lane very shortly, I imagine. Let's get a good view here from the Witcher Electrics pit cam for tonight. And yeah, it's always a perilous situation getting down pit road, but it looks like everybody's managing it at the moment. A few people locking up on the entry, but other than that, it looks like everybody's managed to get through without too much trouble.
Roffey's in now.
So we'll have everything sort itself out and work out who the leader is after those pit stops. Of course, some people may have short fueled as well, because that's one of the things you can do. You don't need to have all of the fuel in a tank. You can go a little bit shorter on the fuel and get back out in a better position. And a few people, I'm sure, will take that advantage. And it looks like Todd Maxfield was the big gainer there, and he took that advantage as he's coming back out on track. But it looks like he was stationary for about a very short time for Todd Maxfield, so he's trying a very different strategy. But he's gained a whole heap of positions. He's just exiting pit lane now. I wonder if the 16's actually missed his pit box, because 16 Todd Maxfield's having to come back in pit lane, and it sounds like the car is not running. So unfortunate for Todd Maxfield, he's going to have to come down pit lane again. It looks like he's missed his pit box and had to make another trip round, and doing it the hard way. So that is unfortunate for him. That stop looked a little bit too quick, but looking at the stop times, just for those leaders, Barry Neal stationary for 31.4 seconds, Troy Davidson 35 seconds, same as Kay Donnelly. Stevie Dubb 27 seconds stationary. We said he would gain a lot of positions by coming in that little bit early, taking a little bit less fuel, and he's gained 16 positions. He's up into 4th spot now, so big gain for Stevie Dubb. But of course he'll have to come back in down pit lane a little bit sooner than everybody else, but if he can make it to the end on that final stop, he'll be in a good position, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just watching Troy Davidson back here trying to get his way through these cars from probably a lap down, I think they are. But
as our leader Barry Neal's also catching up to a few cars as well. He's just behind Dwayne Priest at the moment, and he's having to sort his way through traffic. And then we've got a whole heap of cars here on screen. You can see the huge pack of cars. Kay Donnelly's in at the moment, and a lot of those are lapped cars, but it's still cars you have to pass, and it can become a bit perilous. Just looking at some of the lap times now, a few people, it looks like, may have changed some tyres. One of those that's sitting quite high at the moment is Jamie Nankervis and Ross Cheatham. Those two flying along at the moment, and I think they've both swapped onto some fresh boots because they've got a lot of pace out on track at the moment. They are setting the times alight and setting some of the fastest laps on the track, down in the low 30, well, pretty much 31-1 area at the moment. So they're looking pretty good. The other thing, of course, getting down pit lane does is it cools those tyres off a little bit, Mark.
yeah, it definitely does. So maybe they haven't changed tyres, but they've just had enough time to get those tyres cool. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they have, because I can't see those tyres lasting 70 odd laps. That's a lot to ask out of a set of tyres.
It is indeed, but those tyres have already done 63 laps, of course, so they're going to have to do a 70 odd lap stint either side of it. Really, it's when you want to do it. That's the tricky thing to do, isn't it? Really, it's they're going to have to do a long stint either at the start of the race or the finish of the race.
Yeah, definitely. But I'd go back to my old NASCAR roots and try and save that set of tyres. See so you're strong on the rear end of the race. But again, as I said, mate, I've not done a lot of driving of these things. I will do some this week, so I'm a little bit more informed on the characteristics. That tongue tied. the character. Sorry.
Characteristics.
Yeah, that's it. Oh,
You know you're in trouble
the
when I
car.
can pronounce it.
Yeah. So I will get out there and do some laps, so I'm a little bit more informed, and I can really get to understand these things.
Yeah, it is a very different beast on the ovals, of course. Looking at Raymond Jaeger at the moment, the RKJ Web Services sponsored car, of course, title sponsor of the series. Big thank you to them with the My Private Sellers on the rear wing. He's going along nicely at the moment at the front of this secondary pack. He's a good couple of seconds down, almost 12 seconds, more than that actually, about 14 seconds off Stevie Dubb, who is currently sitting in 4th position. That earlier stop has worked out well for Steve Williams. He's just got to make it work to the end of the race. Hopefully his fuel calculations were absolutely spot on. A little bit further up the field though, it is a little bit of carnage for Troy Davidson and Kate Donnelly in the United Electrical Solutions sponsored Simboys entries. Got a big thank you to United Electrical Solutions for sponsoring the series, and of course sponsoring the Simboys as well. But they are working their way through the field nicely. And of course Hot Toddies as well. I always forget that they are one of the main sponsors of the Simboys. Plastered all across their cars, so I shouldn't forget it, but I do sometimes. They're having to work their way through this big ball of traffic, and they've done it nicely. They're almost to the front of it now, but they had to put a lot of effort to get through that, and they lost a lot of time to Stevie Dubb, who now has to, he now has to navigate that pack himself.
I'm really amazed at how well these guys are driving. With some of them being on old tyres, and just getting through these packs without making any mistakes.
Yeah, it's great to see, and it's it is great for the Australian oval racing community as well. We've got such a good community building now, and we're getting such good drives out of these guys as well, all from the field, from first down to last. It is great driving we're seeing from everybody, and a lot of respect has been put on the track as well. I think it's one of the big things for the oval racing series is people have just clicked with it now. They've got used to it. It's become more of a common feature for a lot of these drivers to race on ovals, and that you're not seeing the sort of silly mistakes that you would see a good couple of years ago now, but it really has ironed itself out. Of course, we still see accidents. It is motor racing. That's what happens, but they are very few and far between.
Yeah, definitely. Right, as you said, Carl, right across all the oval guys now, there's some real good camaraderie, and you get it over the radio. Even if guys aren't 100% sure that they were at fault, they stick their hand up. Hey, sorry, Carl, that was on me. So it is becoming a lot better nowadays than what it was when the oval racing started in Australia and New Zealand.
Absolutely, it's great to see because it gives us great racing like this. We've had 72 laps of pure green flag racing here at Kentucky, and we were talking before the race started about how tricky it is to drive here. It's not the easiest track on the circuit, on the calendar even. It is one of those tricky places where it is easy to make a mistake, and with the tyre wear as well, these cars are not easy to drive, but we are seeing great runs from everybody. Everybody is just keeping the car just to the limit. Nobody's overdoing it. People are running extremely well, and nobody's doing it better at the moment than this man, Barry Neal. He's definitely led the most laps tonight, and he is keeping that lead open by about 6 seconds over Troy Davidson at the moment. A great run, Barry Neal, in the Ayatura Racing entry.
Yeah, definitely. Carl, you just said about the driving style. I've been told that in 1 and 2, the car is really hooked up, so it drives in nicely and it drives out smoothly. But in 3 and 4, it's getting a big push on that right front, no matter which line you go to. So you really would have to concentrate on driving with both ends of the track reacting differently.
Yeah, it makes a very tricky place to race when the car acts differently on each corner. And well, I think it's one of the beautiful things about oval racing is that a lot of these tracks look very similar when you see them on the old track maps. You go, oh, yeah, that's the same track, isn't it? But they are very different to drive indeed. As it's like Tony Roffey might have a big issue here. The A5 losing it on the infield. He's just managed to get it back onto the infield concrete, get back onto some sort of track asphalt and get back out there, but he had a big moment down there on the inside that would have opened his eyes up for sure. And it just looks like he might have been just getting out the way of the leaders and just got a little bit too deep, just caught a little bit of oversteer, went down on the grass and then couldn't quite get it back in the right place at the right time. Luckily though, he's got it back out on track. No caution needed here. Lap 76 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Sellers.
He's lucky there, Carl, because once you get onto that grass, there ain't really much you can do except for try and steer it the way you want it to go. And it doesn't always work.
You have to be so careful on the throttle as well. If you put your foot down, all of a sudden you're going to go spinning in the wrong direction. And usually in that wrong direction, you're going to find a car as well. So good recovery there, good save by Tony Roffey in the Road Sim Sports entry, the number 85. Up the front, we've still got a lot of racing going on. Barry Neal has got that lead. He's just got past Dwayne Priest now. Just setting him down a lap. A little bit further back, it's Troy Davidson, the reigning champion, with Cade Donnelly. They're currently sitting second and third position. A bit further back, we have Steve Williams in the DPR entry, sitting in fourth. Bit of a lonely position at the moment, a couple of seconds off the Sim Boys, but he has got a good gap between himself and Justin Witcher in the Pinnacle Esports entry, who's sitting in fifth position with his teammate Raymond Yeager just behind him. We have another Sim Boy, it's Gary Wellman in seventh position with Justin Jamie Nankervis sitting in 18th position, and teammate Ruben Phelps sitting behind him, and Greg Spencer rounds out the top 10. So we are 54 laps remaining. We are getting close to that point where they can make it home on fuel of one more stop. Of course, one thing you don't want to do is leave yourself short if there is a green-white checker. So you just want to have a little bit of extra gas in the tank to secure that. But I imagine we'll be seeing cars coming down pit lane in the next 4 to 5 laps.
Yeah, so lap 81, yeah, so between now and lap 90, I would say we probably see another run of pit stops. But the person that's going to have to come down pit lane very early is Stevie Double, I'd say, with coming in.
And he is coming in now.
You can see how hard he was on the brakes there and trying to get that thing pulled up. On old
tyres. The Witcher Electrics pit cam, and Noddy Tompkins also in pit lane, so he's making his final service as well. So, how will this one pan out for those drivers? Of course, they're going to chuck their final set of boots on now if they've got them up their sleeves. So they should have a little bit more pace on the beginning of this run, but they've got to be a little bit careful on the fuel. They need to make sure they can get home with enough gas in the tank to make it an extra lap or two, just in case. Jared Daly as well coming in pit lane. So we've started getting our final green flag stops underway here tonight for round number 3 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here on Performance eStreaming.
I'd say Stevie Dubb's taken fuel and tyres that time round, Carl. He was in the lane for 53 seconds, in his box for 28.9 seconds.
Yeah, so he wasn't there for the full time by the looks of it, because the longest stops are about 35 seconds. So he may have just taken a splash less fuel or something like that just to get out a little bit earlier. He's got something in mind here, Mr. Stevie Dubb. One of those drivers that you would not put anything past. He is a very skilled oval racer, and I imagine he's got a bit of a plan up his sleeve.
Yeah, it's one person that you can never count out on any oval is Stevie Dubb. Like, he's just a master at saving that little bit of fuel to give him that little bit longer run.
Very much so. And he is going to look to try and gain a little bit more time as well. We saw him jump up the field that last round of pit stops. He was towards the back of the pack going into that first round of pit stops. When it all settled down afterwards, he jumped right to the top of that field. So he's going to try and do a similar job this time round. And I imagine we're going to see some fairly solid laps out of him. Of course, if he is saving a little bit, he'll just ease off the throttle a little bit as well. He won't push quite as hard, just so he can make sure to get that car home across the line.
Yeah, definitely. We've still got it's showing to me Nicholas Walsh is the last car on the lead lap, and everyone is either a lap down or 2 or more laps down, and that's only because the green stops at the moment. Once everyone goes through, I'd say that a lot of guys will come back up onto the lead lap.
Well, Barry Neal's also been setting an incredible pace this race. He has himself and Troy Davis and Kate Donnelly have been setting a very strong pace this race. They have lapped a lot of people on merit, and yeah, they've been really pushing it for this whole race. So I wonder how many we'll have after these green flag stops are over and done with. If few people can take a shorter green flag stop in this final stint, that will jump them up a huge amount, of course. But Barry Neal has been absolutely on it tonight. He's been setting a great pace all through the night, even while, obviously protecting that tyre a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking back down through the lap times, Carl. Barry, for the last 10 laps, has been at the... he's taken 31 twos, 31 threes. So, and he's also, I believe now he has the fastest lap of the race with a 31.076.
Kate Donnelly still has the fastest lap with a 30.6.
30.6, is it?
Yeah.
So that must have been his personal best for the race, I'd say, the 31.07.
Yeah.
So you're right. He's just constantly in that low 31s.
Yeah, he's setting some good times. Got Jamie Curvis, who's been through pit lane as well, and he's the fastest car up on track, and he's one of the first cars I've seen in a long time into those 30-second ones. He's just set a 30.9, so I'd say he's got some fresh boots on that car, and he's getting some pace in it now. So this is the second stage of the race where things will start coming alive. We've got Ruben Phelps and Christopher Tomlin both in pit lane, and a caution flag.
I'm just trying to find it. Could you find it, Carl?
Got Noddy Tompkins in the wall, and it looks like contact. Looks like it's contact between Noddy Tompkins and Tony Rothie. So we've got the replay just here. There's the accident just there. So first caution of the night, 92 laps into the race, just a bit of side-on-side contact, and that is all it takes for things to go from bad to worse in a night. And round goes Noddy Tompkins, catches the barrier. We'll just see the replay here again. But looks like Tony Rothie's just not noticed Noddy Tompkins coming round. Just that little bit of side-on-side contact. There was a little bit of contact at the start, actually. I think Noddy might have just clipped Tony just as he was getting round. And then Rothy was unable to really steer that car any further, and that contact happened. And our first caution of the night is out. This is a godsend for those guys that have not
in
stopped
pit lane.
yet. All the cars will be coming down pit lane now.
Yep.
Leader in pit lane, Barry Neal in pit lane, as well as Troy Davidson, Kay Donnelly, Justin Witcher, Raymond Yeager, Gary Wellman, Greg Spencer, and, well, pretty much everybody else. Stevie Dubb won't need to pit, but he will have been a lap down, so this is going to be painful for those guys that came down pit lane a little bit earlier now.
Yeah, definitely hasn't worked in Stevie Dubb's favour or anyone else that's pitted that fraction earlier. So we may see some guys get trapped there in being a lap down and not being able to get back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, it's always a painful situation when that happens. Christopher Finley gets a good stop. He gets a bit of a jump on a few people as well. He was stationary for just 25 seconds in the pit lane, so he has got a big jump on the rest of those drivers. He's still just sitting behind Barry Neal, who came out of that one in first place still, I believe. That little bit of extra gap he had will have surely helped him out through that pit stop. So we'll let everything start to settle down. But while we've got a little bit of a breather, we'll give a quick shout out to our sponsors, of course, My Private Cellar. If you're in the market for a nice new wine cellar that you'd like to keep well stocked, head over to myprivatecellar.com.au for all the information. United Electrical Solutions, of course, if you're in need of some new installations, renovations or repairs, head over to United Electrical Solutions. Hot Toddy's heating installations. If you're looking out for a nice new wood heater or any other heating supplies, head over to Hot Toddy's Heating Installations for all the information. Witcher Electrics, of course, if you're in the Ballarat region, check out Witcher Electrics for all of their information. RKJ Web Services, if you're in the need for some new web designs or anything like that, you head over to RKJ Web Services, and I believe we've actually got the man himself, Mr. Raymond Yeager, in the booth as I just said that. Raymond, how are you going?
Yeah, good mate, good.
Long green flag period there. Caution flag just came out, and I imagine that is a nice bit of a breather for you guys, but obviously it would have been nice to see it go green for a bit longer.
Oh, mate, I think it's very important that we got that green. I don't think we were going to get anywhere near Barricade and Troy. They were off in the distance.
They had a huge gap over you, obviously.
I think they were only 3 or 4 seconds behind us, putting us a lap down, so it was going to be big problems.
That caution came out just at the right time for you, at least. Obviously, that's going to change things up a bit. How was the car feeling up until that caution came out?
I don't know. I just started to experience some issues with the tyres. Just got the warning saying I need to watch them. So, yeah, it was starting to get a bit sketchy. But obviously now we're on the fresh stuff. So I think we're running top 5 or something. So hopefully we can have something for Barry and Caden, Troy here. But the car feels all right.
Well, we look forward to the final closing fireworks of this race. Being on fresh tyres, it's going to make for an exciting run to the end, I'm sure.
Yeah, it should be good. So hopefully the boys can keep it clean and we don't have any more cautions, and it should be a really fun finish.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much, Raymond Yeager. Good to have you up in the booth. Hopefully we'll catch you at the end of the race.
Cheers, guys. Hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Of course, this does make a big reset for this race. It changes everything up for all of these drivers. They're out on fresh boots. They are getting a little bit of a breather under the pace car as well. Lets you stretch your arms a little bit, take a quick drink of water as well. All those little things that help you through a race that you don't get a chance to do in the green flag periods. But pace car lights are out. We're going to go back to green flag racing very shortly. Do you reckon Barry Neal's got the pace in the car to carry on where he left off, Mark?
I think so. I think he's probably done enough and saved those tyres, and yeah, it's going to be an exciting finish.
It is for sure. Pace car comes in We're about to go green flag racing once again. Barry Neal, Kay Donnelly on the front row. We go green, away we go. Great start there for Barry Neal. Raymond Yeager just has to ease up a little bit, get around. Looks like Troy Davidson there just had a little bit of a slower start than him. Had to lift up a little bit, try and thread the needle, but just lifted off the gas in time to not pass in the wrong spot. But they are away, and once again, we're going to get some amazing racing, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. And look at this lead pack. 5 cars now starting to gap the field, even though it's only a little gap. These guys need to get down and get in behind Barry and use the draft. And it's going to be a hell of a fight.
Indeed, we've got 9 cars on the lead lap. Actually, make that 10 cars on the lead lap, so it's going to change things up a little bit, and it gives people a chance to get back up there after that big gap that Barricade and Troy built up in the early stages of this race. It's a big shame for them, of course, because I'm sure they would have loved to see this race go green to the end. Yeah,
definitely. But saying that too, Barry and Kay just starting to get that. Oh, no, they've closed the gap again. Just as I was going to say, it's just starting to stretch out those legs again.
Yeah, it looks like Barry's got this track absolutely damn packed tonight. We said he's quick on the ovals, and he's doing it once again. As we've got 3 wide action in the background, turning into 2 wide, but there is a lot of racing going on now through the pack, and of course a lot more racing going on down the field as well in the rest of the group. We've got cars all over the place at the moment, just trying to keep our eyes on the best bit of racing for sure, which is never easy to do in this series.
So it's really opened my eyes tonight, mate. I'm amazed, as I said, the great racing, as you just said, right throughout the field. It's another one where do you look?
Exactly. It's a horrible problem to have as a broadcaster. Where do we look for the racing? Because there's so much going on. But up the front, it looks like it's going on as there's 3 wide. As Kay Donnelly goes down the inside. Justin Witcher on the outside of Barry Neal. They squeeze him 3 wide. Get past for Kay Donnelly. Now we've got Yeager on the inside. He just gets through. Barry Neal drops back. He was leading this race for so long. Now he drops back into 4th position, maybe 5th position as they cross the line.
This is nail-biting stuff, and I say Barry's got to have a problem with the car because he doesn't normally drop that quick. He's gone from leading the race down to 6th position.
Yeah, it looked like they had a huge jump. It looks like Kay Donnelly had a huge jump on him and just forced him into that 3 wide situation. He just didn't have the car where he wanted it position-wise, and it just cost him a whole heap of time, and now he's got to try and work his way back up there. It could be, as you say, a little problem. Maybe there's a little niggle setting into the car. Maybe something doesn't feel as good as it did last run. These fresh tyres maybe not working as well for him as the slightly worn tyres as well. So it's just caught him off guard. But up the front, Justin Witcher's getting a run now. The 12 is getting a run on the 41 of Kay Donnelly. And this race is coming alive.
Oh, it definitely is, Carl. And we're seeing that this front group really start to have a battle. Almost a touch there between Raymond and one of the Sim boys, but all's good, and we go racing again.
All's fair in love and war as long as you don't wreck the car beside you, of course.
That's it. But it's interesting. We got 3 Sim boys. By the look of it, 3 Sim boys right up there in the front, and 3 of the Pinnacle Sports. And
those 2 teams very strong, of course. They have got many wins between them, and they go very well on these fast ovals.
Just trying to see where the first of the everything simulated.
Can't see. Currently sitting in Got Jamie Nankervis down in 20th position.
Yeah,
And Ruben
Ruben
Phelps in 18th position.
18th. And Tristan's in 16th. 17th now. So, yes.
Yeah, this could hurt the team's championship a little bit because you've got Pinnacle up there with Sin Boys, of course, nominated drivers for some of these teams because they've got a fair few drivers in them. Of course, only it's the free drivers that score in a round. So you just hope that you've nominated the right drivers for this round.
And with the Sim Boys, how do you nominate the right three? Do you just throw a couple of coins in the air and see which one comes down?
I think that's the only way you can do it, is you get 3 darts, you throw them at the board, whoever it lands on, that is your Sim Boy for the week. Because up the front we've got a great race going on between Kay Donnelly and 2-time Australasian Supercar eSeries champion Justin Witcher. Up there he's putting the pressure on and he knows how to win these races, and he is putting the pressure on, but he has got the reigning champion just behind him with Troy Davidson. He would sorely like to get a victory tonight, get a win under his belt and get his championship back underway, but he gets a little bit loose in the mid-corner and that's going to drop him down a couple of positions as he falls back into the grass. He just gets it pulled up in the right spot in front of Raymond Yeager there, another champion of the series. He just gets it in the right position at the right time. We've got champions across the board at the front battling it out with drivers that have wins under their belt. It is a full feature race at the front at the moment. It's great stuff indeed.
I guess that caution came out at the right time for the spectators, but not for at the right time for some of these drivers, because it's really made this battle heat up.
It has a lot hotter than it was as Justin Witcher gets a good run underneath. Oh, Donnelly squeezes him on the low line. Witcher holds it beautifully though, keeps it there. Great racing between those two. Very hard racing up the front, and this is giving Barry Neal a chance to get a run. And we've got four wide, 3 wide up the front at the moment.
Sorry, Carl, I'm not looking. I've got my eyes closed.
It is crazy stuff at the front of the field. We've got a lot of leaders up there, but we've got a lot of lap cars as well. It is crazy stuff at the front at the moment. Oh, as we've got a wreck! We've got a wreck in the cars! Around goes Greg Spencer. He's managed to hold it, and I think we might get away with having that as a green flag moment. But Greg Spencer goes around. He got contact with, I believe it was one of the Sim Boys. It was indeed our reigning champion, Troy Davidson. Davidson gets a big whack on the side from that one, manages to keep it going. I think Gary Wellman was also involved in that one. We remain green flag racing here. Lap 111, 23 to go.
With such close racing, Carl, you've got to expect little incidents. Well, not so much a little incident, but incidents like that when they're door to door.
Now that was a big incident, but luckily they all kept it in the right place at the right time. That could have been a huge wreck there. Great job from all those drivers to keep it green, as we've got 23 laps remaining here tonight for round number 3 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by Private Sellers.
A word on them. If anyone does like wine and everything, they are a great place to buy some wine for your loved ones, or just for a relaxing red.
Exactly. I mean, it's the perfect combination, motorsport and wine. It can't get much better than that. It's just a shame we have to commentate. We can't get to enjoy the grapes.
That's it. The only thing is, if you're racing BMWs, mate, you've got to have the cucumber sandwiches too.
The all-important stuff up the front. Kay Donnelly is in the lead with Barry Neal just behind him. Looks like Craig Roffey's having to come down pit road. Just going to back up a little look at that one.
Maybe he's starting to hurt from that early hit in the wall.
Yeah, Roffey and both in pit lane. Okay, yeah, it looks like they're coming in for their second run, so they tried something different. They stayed out there to get on the lead laps, obviously, and trying a different roller for dice, but it's not paid off for them. That caution could have been perfect for them if it came out, though.
Yeah, definitely. It would have set them up right for the end with a good run to the end with just 20-something laps to go.
That is it, but up the front we've got this action still going on. There are plenty of blue and white cars in the picture. We've got Donnelly, Neil and Witcher there battling away. And up comes a little bit of purple action from Raymond Yeager and Troy Davidson as well. That's more pinky action from Troy, but it is a great race at the front. It's anybody's race with 19 laps to go.
In the past years, Carl, I would have said I'm disappointed because there's not a Chev there, but this year the races that I am going to run in the NASCAR, I'll be in a Ford, so go to the Blue Oval.
Plenty of Mustangs up there. The horses are galloping well at the front at the moment, which is always good to see for a lot of people.
This is a real ding-dong battle between Barry and Cade, backwards and forwards. One lap, Barry's leading. The next lap, Cade's leading, and Justin is closing in and going to join in this battle.
Yeah, he's sitting in an opportunistic spot at the moment. He is well within striking distance as we go down to the closing laps, and he could be in a prime position to try and dart across the line in that coveted P1 spot as the checkered flag falls. But you've got to be in the right spot at the right time, of course, and sometimes leading the race on an oval is not the right spot. Sometimes you'd much rather be the car behind, because it gives you that chance to use the slingshot to power yourself by across that start-finish line and give you that opportunity for a win. But I've got to say at the moment, Cade Donnelly's doing a great job out front. He's keeping that lead relatively healthy. He's positioning that car nicely. But Barry Neal is constantly there, and he is always a threat. We've seen it throughout the race how good Barry is, and if he gets out into the lead, will we see him pulling away like we did before?
Yeah, definitely. But Kay's definitely doing the right thing. Kay's making Barry go around the long way.
Contact between Donnelly and Neil. They both keep it pointed in the right direction somehow. Great awareness there. That was super safe by both of those drivers, and everybody behind just tapping that brake just a little bit so they avoided a big accident there. That's pushed Barry Neal up, and contact between Neil and Witcher there as well. Barry Neal's got to be struggling with that car.
I think that's hurt that left front. Carl, I'd definitely seen that left front. I jumped very heavily, so I think he may have some damage there now.
A huge shame for Barry Neal, who has been absolutely at the front of this field in this race. Don't discount him yet, though. There's still a chance for him to do something, but it's going to be a lot harder with a damaged car like that. How much damage did the 41 of Cade Donnelly receive as well? That contact we saw side-on-side action, so probably not going to affect him too much, but every little bit of damage can hurt you in a race like this. We've got 13 laps remaining. Justin Witcher putting all the pressure on Cade Donnelly now. Raymond Yeager just behind him. Troy Davidson in 4th position. Barry Neal has somehow kept that car in 5th spot. Ross Cheatham up there as well, and Greg Spencer, the final car on the lead lap, in 7th place.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, I just noticed a car sneaking up in here, the 080 of Kobe Jordan. Being this close to the end of the race and Kobe being up so high, I wouldn't count out Kobe either.
Yeah, but he has a lap down, remember?
He is too, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's trying his best to get that lucky dog position if it comes up for grabs, of course. He's battling it out with Nicholas Walsh, Dwayne Priest, Chris Finley, Gary Wellman, Cody Jordan and Andy Barber, all trying to jostle for position for that coveted lucky dog spot if it appears.
With the racing we've seen up here at the moment, it could happen.
Yeah, as the aggression starts to get a little bit stronger, as it always does towards the end of a race, drivers turn that dial up a little bit because they can sniff that checkered flag and that chance of a victory is coming for them. And, well, when you can get a chance to win a race, especially when it has been as close as this, you've got to take it. And I'm sure a few drivers will absolutely be trying to pounce for it.
In saying that too, though, Carl, Barry has recovered and he's now back up in the 5th spot.
Yeah, he's going well up there. Just looking at some of the team battles. The Everything Simulated team are moving up quickly now. They are up into 15th position, 15th and 16th spot with Ruben Phelps, Jamie Curvis. Tristan Koch also in that group now in 18th position. They're working their way up the field nicely, and that will be useful for championship points in the team championship. But up the front is side-by-side action between Donnelly and Witcher now. Witcher is trying to get a bit of a run now. 9 laps to go. This is where you need to start positioning the car, start working out where you want to jump for the end of this race. And it looks like Witcher wants to jump now. He's got his teammate behind him as well. Those two can work together. Donnelly, though, putting a great defence in.
Yeah, definitely some aggressive swapping of lanes there by Justin. So, and Kay's just moving to block him that little bit. So again, he forces him below that yellow line.
Aggressive moves here at the front, and this is where an accident could easily happen. Donnelly defending as hard as he can as they just go past a car dropping down to the low line to get lapped. That was Michael Latter there, just moving out the way of the main field. Very nice of him to do.
And talking about aggressive driving, look who's back up in the 4th spot, mate, and pressuring Raymond Jaeger.
I said don't discount him, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Back up there. Barry Neal is up there, and well, you know how a shark can smell blood in the water? I think Barry Neal has got that same feeling at the moment, and he's also got a little bit of that red mist off that, a little bit of contact before. His targets are firmly set on the 41 and the number 12. He will have a little bit of a little bit of payback he can give to them if he needs to, and I doubt he'll be too gentle as he does it.
No, I'm just watching. I've just jumped on a different camera view on the screen I'm looking at, and he's hard on the brakes and trailing the brake through that turn in to the turn, and then mid corner he's giving a very hard jab on the brake. So he's definitely got some steam coming out of his ears and wants to get that race lead back with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, time is ticking away, but you wouldn't discount it, would you? And Troy Davison back up there as well. He's looking to make a move, doesn't quite make it on Barry Neal. Troy Davison very keen, but right now Barry Neal's making the move on Kate Donnelly on the inside. 3 wide for a few moments, 2 wide now. Kate Donnelly on the outside, Barry Neal on the inside. Justin Witcher has taken the pounce up into first place with Raymond Jaeger in second. This is where the shuffling begins for that final stint of the race. We've got 4 and a bit laps remaining here for the My Private Sellers Australasian Supercar eSeries. It's round number 3 here at Kentucky, and it is giving us a finger-licking good race.
It certainly is, and I thought you said you didn't tap bump draft here. I'm pretty sure Raymond Jaeger just used a bit of a NASCAR style bump and push.
Oh yeah,
I
didn't say we don't bump and run. There's a bit of bump and run. There's a bit of bump drafting going on. It's just a little bit trickier in these cars because there's that huge wing to get in the way.
Well, not only the huge wing, it's a huge spoiler at the front, the splitter.
Absolutely. And well, you've got to be careful not to damage it, and they're doing a good job so far. Jaeger is defending in that position at the moment. He's trying to keep in that second spot, but there are a lot of hungry cars behind him. He's got Neal, Donnelly, Davidson all sitting behind him at the moment, trying to take that P2 away from him. You can't really discount any of them. We've got 2.5 laps remaining now. He's getting close to the end now. The aggression will be going up. Will Barry Neal be able to get back up to the lead of this race? He's got a small distance to go, but you can't put it past him. He's had a great run so far tonight. Raymond Jaeger doing a great job there in second, though, defending that position and helping his teammate a little bit, and Justin Witcher.
Yeah, definitely. It really helps when you've got teammates around you. Unfortunately for his teammates further back there, Troy, just can't get to that rear of his car to help him out.
Yeah, of course, Troy's getting a little bit of that damage earlier on, and I wonder how much that's affecting it. As Neal goes for the run there, can't quite make it this time round. We are going to see the white flag flying very shortly here at Kentucky. it's still anybody's race. Get ready for a mad dash to the finish line as they have 2 and a bit kilometres left of this track to go. Whose race will it be? We'll find out very shortly. Kate Donnelly looking to make a move on Raymond Jaeger. Can't quite make it on the low line there. Jaeger defending great. Barry Neal trying to get the run as well. Can't quite make it work. But Troy Davidson does get a decent run into the line there. Trying for that 3rd place spot. There's been a contact between Donnelly and Neal, and they go round. They managed to save it somehow, but that's going to drop them out of position. Round they go. There's a huge wreck in the background, but it is Justin Witcher taking the win ahead of Raymond Jaeger. Troy Davidson comes home in 3rd position.
Unbelievable. Geez, this has been great racing, and as we said earlier, Carl, with door-to-door racing like this, accidents are going to happen, and what an unfortunate way for those guys to finish the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that was a chaotic little bit of a finish. Just waiting for everything just to settle out before we run through that finishing order, of course. Take a little bit of a look at that. But Justin Witcher going to have some well-deserved donuts here tonight at Kentucky. He is going to be able to enjoy that burnout, and a little bit of in-sync motion with Raymond Jaeger there, his teammate, joining him for a little bit of fun out on the track, celebrating a 1-2 for the team. A great job they did. We heard Raymond Jaeger before, after that caution, just saying how that caution helped him out a little bit because they weren't catching those cars ahead otherwise, and they made the most of it. So here we go, a replay for the end. It's a bit chaotic, but you can see here contact between Neal and Donnelly. And then there's a secondary contact, and that is really it. They almost saved the cars, but then there is a little bit of a tap between Neal and Kobe Jordan, and that sends the car spiraling down straight into Christopher Finlay. And that is that, and a few more cars caught up in that incident as well. Tough night indeed for Barry Neal. Got unlucky when that caution came out, but had a solid race tonight for sure. But let's run through the finishing order. So it was Justin Witcher taking the win for Pinnacle tonight. Pinnacle in name, Pinnacle by nature, getting the victory here tonight. Raymond Jaeger in 2nd. Troy Davidson comes home 3rd for the Sim Boys, with Cade Donnelly just behind him and Greg Spencer in the group as well. In 6th position, Ross Cheatham having a really good run tonight. He is going to be stoked with a top 6 position. The final car on the lead lap in that group. Gary Wellman comes home in 7th position with Nicholas Walsh in 8th. Dwayne Preece in 9th position with Chris Finlay coming home in 10th. As we roll over the pages, Kobe Jordan coming home in 11th with Andy Barber 12th. 13th for Stevie Dub, Steve Williams. 14th for Jamie Nancarvis. Christopher Tomlin came home 15th with Tristan Koch 16th. Peter Matson 17th. Ruben Phelps 18th. Warwick Sharp 19th. 20th was Barry Neal. Craig Roppy came home 21st with Troy Turner in 22nd, 23rd for Jai Schultz, 24th for Richie Tomko, 25th for Jared Day, Kim Roffey 26th, 27th for Dodd Maxfield, Tony Roffey 28th, 29th for Noddy Tompkins, Michael Latter in 30th. John Quast came home 31st with Adam Malone 32nd, Pete Gretton and Evan Horschel rounding out the pack tonight of the 31 strong field.
I would have liked to have seen Adam Malone have a bit better run, but with obviously with some technical issues, it couldn't happen for him tonight. So it just seems like lately there's 1 or 2 guys in the sim that seems to get a hard luck.
Exactly. It's never fun when you have those technical issues, but we equate them to having a DNF in Full Metal Racing of the car failing. So it's the closest you can get to a car failure, I guess, in sim racing. So let us bring up our 3rd place man, Mr. Troy Davidson, for the Sim Boys. Troy Davidson, welcome back to the booth. and congratulations on P3 tonight here at Kentucky.
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, sort of first couple, I had a bit of a time off over Christmas there, summer, and made a couple of rookie errors in the pits the last couple of weeks, but good to finally get back up here, mate.
Exactly. It's nice to be back up towards the top, and another strong finish tonight. P3, nothing to be sniffed at. It was a tough race for sure, but you look to have you were having a decent run all throughout the night. You were running up in the top group pretty much all night long.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we sort of had pretty good time management going on and had it nice and safe out there. And if it had went green the whole way, it sort of just would have been come our way pretty easy, I think. But obviously with Barry up there as well. But yeah, once the yellow come out, it's back to the pack and everyone's even. And I think a few of the boys got unlucky with some yellows, black flags or whatever, like just a bit of an iRacing glitch or something. But yeah, she was good last 30 laps, that's for sure.
Absolutely. It was a bit of an eventful last 30 laps or so. We saw a couple of moments for yourself, and we can see on the screen at the moment that big black stripe down the side of the car. We saw you having to make a little bit of a save.
Yeah, I think there was between us all, the five of us or six or whatever up there. There's a few panels getting hit and stuff a bit, I think. But I think with the calibre of drivers, we can sort of all do that a little bit and, race close and hard like that without sort of putting people in the wall.
No, it was some good close racing. And obviously, as you said, that caution coming out evened everything up. I imagine you were saying a few words that we can't use for broadcast when that caution flag did fly, though.
Yeah, I do, but I've sort of got used to that's a bit of a strategy of mine, sort of if I can get out like that. But I also know in the back of my head it's probably never going to work. Just those 1% of races when it does fall your way if it goes green the whole way. But yeah, I always knew it was probably going to come back, and keeps it fun anyway at the end.
It does indeed. A great race towards the end and a great drive from yourself getting up into P3 tonight. Always a pleasure to have you up here in the both, Troy. But before I let you go, the usual thing of love and shout out to all of those adoring sponsors and fans.
Cheers, Carl. Yeah, just the usuals. Hot Toddy Heating Stalls, United Electrical, Ferris Shifters, the Sim Boys team. We get on here every week and have a lot of laughs and a good bit of fun. And the missus for putting up with me getting on here as well all the time. But and just, you guys for jumping on board with the broadcast, and really looking forward to watch the first couple of this year. And yeah, great quality stream. So that's great from you guys. And just Australasian Supercar eSeries, all the sponsors that go with it. It's great series and love racing it.
Always a pleasure, Troy. Thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll get you back up in the booth in the near future.
I hope so, Carl. Have a good one. Cheers.
Troy Davison there for the Sim Boys. So next up, we will grab that man that we spoke to in the caution period for Pinnacle Racing. It is Mr. Raymond Yeager. Raymond, welcome back to the booth. It does not seem like that long ago that we were talking to you, and you're back up here already.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. I was hopeful that we might have a bit of a chat later on, and here we are, so happy days.
It worked out for you for once. We didn't even manage to make the curse of the commentator work for you, so you dodged that bullet for sure. P2, you must be pretty stoked with that, especially with Justin Witcher up there in first. A good, strong finish for the team.
Absolutely, mate. Second's as good as first when Justin or Greg gets the win. So, I'm stoked. Once I knew that once we sort of got past Cade and Barry there, I was pretty confident they wouldn't be able to get back past both of us. So, I thought Justin was going to get the win and I'd get second or third. So yeah, pretty happy that we got it done on Cade. With about 3 or 4 to go, and then it was pretty much just take the defensive line into the corners and hold him off. So, and obviously they dropped back and ended up, I think they had a bit of a Bengal at the end there, but yeah, good stuff. So happy days.
Oh, absolutely. It was some good close racing up the front, and we saw you having to work very hard to keep everybody behind you.
Oh, mate, yeah, it was a lot of. It was good that Justin was out in front because I can trust him to not miss his lines and things like that. So I could just focus on, keeping my eye on the rear vision mirror and making sure that Kate didn't get a run on me or Barry didn't get a run around the outside or something. So I was just sort of defensive driving a fair bit at the end there because obviously I had no intention of passing Justin. 1-2 for the team is much better than me trying to make some sort of stupid move under him and wrecking us both. So yeah, bag some more points for the championship and see how we go.
absolutely great run tonight. But congratulations on a solid P2 tonight and 1-2 finish for the team, of course. But before we let you go, shout out to those adoring fans and any sponsors you'd like to say hello to as well.
Well, I'm not sure there's many fans to shout out to, so we'll go with the sponsors. There's a few of those. So, Witcher Electrics and My Private Seller, both for not just sponsoring the league, but the team as well. So, thanks to those guys. They do an amazing job to help us out and get this stuff on the road each week. Obviously, we've got United Electrical Solutions on board with the league as well. Hot Toddy's heating installs also. And of course, you guys, Performance E Streaming, doing an amazing job. I've watched all the streams and they look bloody brilliant. So commentary is always good as well. So yeah, I can't wait to watch this one back and yeah, watch watch that move on Cade because that was good. We got to the outside there and stuck it around the outside. So that was a fun race. So thanks to I suppose I should mention my own business as well, RKJ Web Services. If you need any web stuff, get on to me and I'll sort you out. But yeah, thanks guys and have a chat with Justin. He's pretty keen to have a word.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Roman Jaeger. Always a pleasure to have you up here in the booth. And, flattery will get you everywhere with us as well. Thank you so much.
No worries, guys. Cheers.
Roman Jaeger for Pinnacle. And finally, we will grab up the winner for tonight's race, also for Pinnacle E Sport and Racing, Mr. Justin Witcher. Justin Witcher, welcome back to the booth and congratulations on a very solid victory here tonight at Kentucky.
Howdy, boys. Thank you.
Well, that was a race of two halves, you could call it. Obviously, we spoke to Rowan Jaeger a little bit in the caution period, and it wasn't looking too good before that yellow flag came out, but afterwards it all came your way.
Yeah, I don't know what those three boys up front were doing, but they had our pants down, that's for sure.
They absolutely had some pace out there, but that caution sort of came out at the perfect time for you guys, obviously. It was just about the point where you were looking at green flag stops, I imagine.
Yeah, we had a little bit in the tank left. I think we had about 12 laps left to go, but tyres were starting to become an issue. And yeah, I think that Raymond and Greg did say they wanted to pit, and then, oh no, one more. And then just we did that, the caution come out. So yeah, it couldn't have been much better.
All on you for that perfect strategy call, then.
Well, the boys do call me the strategist in the team, but sometimes it goes AWOL.
Well, tonight it worked out perfectly, and we saw it wasn't all plain sailing towards the end of that race. There was a lot of panel beating out there tonight, and you received some of it, but you managed to get through in the end.
Yeah, that was just hard racing. It was one of those tracks where down low worked through 1 and 2, up top worked in 3 and 4. So there was a lot of crossover of lines, etc. But yeah, Raymond obviously helped out a lot, being there sort of the block once we got out in front. Which if he wasn't there, I couldn't really see myself winning the race.
No, absolutely. It was a great run at the end, and obviously teammates can be very helpful sometimes in racing, and you two worked it perfectly on that final run.
Yeah, no, I'll take 50% of the credit. Raymond was had to do half the job too, so
You should take 51% of the credit, just to be sporting,
Look, I won, so yeah, right, we'll do that.
Absolutely, an absolute solid race for you. Made it very entertaining at the end. Thank you so much for that. And look, the usual thing of love and shout out to all the adoring sponsors and especially the fans.
Just our race team sponsors, My Private Seller, Witcher Electrics, and RKJ Web Services. That's it. That's one. That's a new one that I've got to remember now. Just this league sponsors: United Electrical, Hot Toddies, My Private Seller, again Raymond, RKJ, and myself. And then more so you boys for putting it on. Matt, Carl, and Mark do a tremendous job. 3 weeks in, and it's better than it's ever been.
Oh, look, as I said to Mr. Remiego, flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you very much for that, of course. Mr. Justin Witcher, Witcher Electrics, of course, blazoned up on the car beautifully there as well. But congratulations on tonight. A fantastic victory, and I'm sure we'll get you back in the booth very shortly.
Yeah, thanks, boys.
Justin Witcher there of Pinnacle Esports, and a great win for him. Mark, first time calling these V8s on the ovals, and I think it shocked you a little bit, hasn't it?
I've just, yeah, mate. This has been a great race for me to come into and call. Hats off and to all the guys in this league. Some fantastic racing, door to door, bumper to bumper, and to only have one caution is unbelievable.
No, absolutely. We saw some fantastic racing action tonight, and there will be some more of that coming up in the near future, of course, as well, because we will be off to Auto Club next time out for the Australasian Supercar eSeries on the. Where have I lost my notes now? Because I've completely lost my notes for where I had it written down, which is always good, always the mark of professional broadcasting. On the 19th of February, of course, that's what I was looking for. Off to Auto Club Speedway for round number 4 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Of course, coming up on Performance e-streaming, we have the ANSCAR action returning for this year with the Thunder on Wednesday night. And of course, the Cup Series coming to you this weekend, Saturday for the duel, and Sunday afternoon for a bumper day of motorsport with the ANSCAR Cup, and of course, the Australasian Supercar eSeries next Sunday on the 19th. And of course, we have the trucks returning next week on Checkered Flag e-streaming with Mark Johansson. He will be bringing the truck action from ANSCAR, so we hope you can join us there for all of that action. But for tonight, we will wish you all a good night and see you next time. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us tonight, and of course, Mr. Matty Hunter on the cameras doing all the hard work. But we will see you again next week for some more V8 action on the ovals for the My Private Sellers Australasian Supercar eSeries.